tried it and it was so hard.
Yeah,
I gave up.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I just want to speak it first, then I can learn how to learn.
Yeah, you can try this if you want. It's very interesting taste.
Yes,
Yeah, it's tasty.
very sweet.
And very concentrated. Yeah,
Okay.
Ja, ich werde jetzt wahrscheinlich einen Fachkurs in Nürnberg machen.
Aha.
Muss ich noch schauen, aber
Nürnberg.
ja,
Wann ist der?
bis Mittwoch Nachmittag. 17 Uhr. Bis 17:30.
Okay. So on Shavuot we started to discuss the topic of identity. So what can we say about identity today? We've seen that. Что она хочет?
Наверное, залезть.
Ну, так вон да есть тут.
Ты
Мне нужно как-то собраться с мыслями. We see that a lot of people want to belong to some group or to some community, some culture, and to do that they tend to make some symbolic things, to put something on them, like a sign or any symbol. And we will discuss what really makes us to belong to some community, and maybe we will discuss also the symbols. So I think first we will learn the classic source, and after it we can discuss if we can relate to it or we need something more modern, because the history of Jews is a very long history, and the identity of past may suit us today or may not suit us today, so we need to check it. But anyway, we'll learn the classics today. We'll learn the principles that was written by Rambam and or Maimonides. He lived around 800 years ago in different places, also in Spain, also in Egypt. So we have a book in Russian. It's translated from Hebrew, most likely. And he was a very big rabbi, but not only a rabbi, but also a philosopher and doctor, right? That was his profession, and that is what he was doing for the living. He was working in Egypt in King's Palace, I remember, and he was like the king's doctor. And after that he finished his job at the King's Palace, he also was working for the rest, for usual people. So he was struggling to find time to work, to learn, to study, to write books. He wrote a lot of things, a lot of books. A lot of them was in Arab language, Arabic, and some of them was in Hebrew. So at that time, it was like the golden age of Jewish life in Spain, before the Jews was exiled out of Spain. So today the cultural world speaking English, our Western culture, but back then it was Arabic world, and they was speaking Arabic language, and there were a lot of Jewish books that was written in Arabic language. So Rambam wrote two main or three main works. So the most important work of his is the law is the book of laws. It's called Mishneh Torah, and it's the best book of law by far that we had in all the Jewish history in terms of the order, how it's ordered, and in terms of diversity, that it have all the laws that we have, even ones that is about the temple, for example, how to serve at the temple. We don't have the temple today, unfortunately, but still, for example, if we will open more popular book of law, Shulchan Aruch, so there is no laws how to serve in the temple, in the Jerusalem, in the Shulchan Aruch. So we can see, look at it as a plus or as a minus. But Rambam put everything, every law that exists in his book. And also he wrote it in Hebrew language and not in Arabic language, because he was planning ahead. He was writing not only for his time, but also for future generations. And he guessed that the future generations would not understand Arabic language, which is truth, because Arabic language is not a language that many Jews speak today. This book is called Mishneh Torah. We will not learn it today because the topic that we will learn he wrote before the Mishneh Torah. So the previous and the main book of law that we have, previous Rambam, it's called Mishnah, and Mishnah is written by Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, is around 2nd century Common Era. So Mishnah is very old text, and there are a lot of commentators that wrote explanations on it, and Rambam also wrote his own commentary on Mishnah. And by the way, when he was explaining something, he wrote also his 13 principles of faith. For example, if we open regular Siddur, we can find 13 עיקרים, die 13 Glaubensartikel von Maimonides. So it's after the prayer, the morning prayer. There are some additional things that we are not obligated to say, but some say it. And there is these 13 things that we will discuss today. And he wrote it in Mishnah Sanhedrin. And in Mishnah, I know we will make a lot of introductions today. It's normal for me. I don't know if it's normal for you. So we have Talmud. Also, we have Mishnah. We don't have a book of Mishnah here, but for many Mishnah parts, there are Talmud discussions. So one of them is called Sanhedrin. And in Mishnah, there are 6 parts. And one of them is called Nezikin. Nezikin is about the damages. For example, if someone steals from the other person, how he should repay. Or if someone damages the property of other, how should he fix it. And the Sanhedrin is about the punishment of the Jewish court. So if someone makes some transgression, avera, if someone makes something that it's forbidden by the Jewish law, so there are some penalties in the Jewish law, and Sanhedrin is about these penalties. So it's we discussed it. There was also a death penalty, at least in theory, and there was also a penalty of makot. When the Jewish court was beating someone who made some mistake, avera, who trespassing the law. So a lot of details how to make this punishment or that punishment. So the question that raised in Masechet Sanhedrin in the end is who is Jewish and who is not Jewish, but not in this direct, blunt question. Because, for example, if someone did something that it's forbidden, avera, so is he considering Jewish or not? This is the question that we can ask. And Mishnah ends not asking this question, but immediately answers. So I will open. This book is only in German, so I will not read it today. I'm just showing that Masechet Sanhedrin we have in Mishnah and in Gemara. So it's 10th. Что? פרק עשירי. קפיטל צן. קפיטל צן. Folgen werden durch. Nein.
Because someone take count of how many hours.
Ganz Israel hat einen Teil an der zukünftigen Welt. So this is here in German, and I will read it in Hebrew.
Count how many times need for computer or machine for do this Mishneh Torah, and it was like many maybe years or something like this.
Yes, it is the work of a lot of years, of course. כל ישראל יש להם חלק בעולם הבא, שנאמר, ועמך כולם צדיקים, לעולם יורשו ארץ, נצר 200, מעשה ידי להתפאר. So there is a term that we need to understand, עולם הבא, the world to come. So, есть פרקי אבות? So we need to understand what is עולם הבא.
It's an interesting question, yeah. It's
and Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says that we should look at this world as a corridor that leads to the world to come. So we need to prepare ourselves in this world that we can enter the next world. So what exactly the next world is a big topic, and in a few words we can describe it as a world for the soul. So everybody are going to die, so the body is physical and it ends at some point, it dies, but the soul that we have, and it's also a big topic, what is a soul? We will not discuss it today. So the soul that we have can continue to live in the next world or cannot continue to live in the next world. It depends on some calculations. Mainly it depends on whether the person whose the soul was the righteous person or the wicked one. So Mishnah says that every Jewish have its own part in the world to come. It means everyone have its own place in the world, in the next world. And then Mishnah says, and this is the persons that doesn't have a part in the world, in the upcoming world. So there is a list. We will not learn it today. So based on this, Rambam was explaining a lot of topics. What is the world to come and why it exists, and also questions like, do we receive a payment for our good deeds, and in which way? And there are a lot of terms that we found in ancient books like Gan Eden or Gehinom and things like this. So Rambam explains everything this, and then he makes his list of 13 things. So why we need this list. So he says it at the end, and I will read it. וכאשר יאמין האדם אלה היסודות כולם ונתברר באמונתו בהשם והוא נכנס בכלל לישראל. So when the person believes in these 30 things and he is sure about his faith in God, so he is considered Israel, and we have to love him and to give him help, and we need to do to him everything that Hashem said that we need to do to our neighbor. That includes ahava, love, v'ha'achva, brotherhood, ואפילו עשה מה שיכול מן העבירות. So this is important point. Even if the person that was born Jewish, but he did a lot of averot, transgressions of law, mahmat tava, because he had tava, it means he wanted to do it very much with his soul, and he couldn't control himself with his mind. In התגברות הטבע הגרוע, so there are this nature in his soul that wants these specific things that it's forbidden, and the person did is because of that. So this person should will be punished by his sins, but this person have his own part in the future world. So he is considered Jewish, but sinful Jewish, or Jewish that has sinned. So this is the question of identity: who is considered Jewish and who is not. So, for example, today I talked to someone, and she said that if someone are not observing Torah, so he's not considering Jewish, which is not correct, of course, that we see here. So if someone believes in God and to all these 13 things that we will learn today, he is considering Jewish, and about his sins, he should repay them in some way. We will need to learn it maybe in physical way, maybe in spiritual way, but even then he is considered Jewish. This is very important, and to be so this is kind of what gives the Jewish identity. These 13 things. So what are they? We will learn it today. I don't know if we will have enough time to learn all of them. So I will read them fast, and then we will discuss each of them. So היסוד הראשון, first is that the God exists, believing in God. So how we define if the person is religious or not is if he believes in God or not believes in God. But Rambam, it was important for him to define what is God and how we believe in it, because there are different religions, and different religions believes in God. So how can we define someone as a Jewish if this one believes in God and this one, but only one of them Jewish? So we need to define our God that we believe in, who is he, and what it looks like. So the second part, Hashem Echad. There is only one God. The third thing, Ein Lo Guf, that Hashem is not, that the God is not physical thing, he is spiritual being. Fourth thing, Hashem Kadmon, that the God existed for endless amount of time. It means the world that exists was built after the God. So first there was a God, and then there was a world. So the God was first. So this is four things about God. And also there are some different approaches, what God does exactly and what He does not. And we believe that God knows what happens in this world, and it's interesting to Him at some point. And so this is the fifth, and the sixth is that we need to serve God. The seventh is prophecy, that God talks to the humankind. And then Nevuat Moshe, so also the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu have some uniqueness in it. And the next is that we cannot add something to the Torah. And then several left. So we have also the written Torah and also the oral Torah. And the next one is Sachar V'Onesh, that based on our behavior, we receive from the God good things or bad things. And then Mashiach. So Mashiach, and the last two is Mashiach and Tchiat HaMetim. Mashiach is a difficult topic. So we are expecting king of Israel, that we will have a king again. And the last one, Tchiat HaMetim, that the dead ones should be alive again. So there are the 13 topics, very briefly. So we will discuss them a little bit today. So first of all is more like theological topics about the God, that religion is about believing in God and serving God. So what is God? And there is four things that the Rambam says about the God. So first, that the God exists, it's understandable, but he doesn't say a God exactly. It's important to notice. I will read it in Hebrew. So I was talking about the language and the commentary on Mishnah. Rambam wrote in Arabic language. So here we have a translation to Hebrew, because I don't know Arabic language, unfortunately. היסוד הראשון להאמין באמצעות הבורא יתברך, והוא שיש שם נמצא שלם בכל דרכי מציאות, ועילת המציאות, אנוכי השם אלוהיך. So we need to believe that there is someone that created this world, and this means that there is something that is shalem, that is doesn't have any flaws. בכל דרכי המציאות. For example, humans, they have pluses and minuses. So if I will work a lot, so I will get tired. So, for example, God are not getting tired and things like this. Hu ilat hamitzut. So we'll have one ilah. Ilah, it means like if I making something, so like the reason that this world exists, there is one reason that everything exists. So the God is this one reason. So for example, today we have a lot of people that are not believing, like atheists, but back in these days of Rambam, there was not much atheists. And do you know maybe who was the first Jewish atheist? You heard about them? As far as I know, it was Spinoza, Baruch Benedict Spinoza. In Hebrew, we say Spinoza. How it's in German? It was a philosopher, and he was not satisfied with the Jewish faith. So usually when we read, for example, the written Torah, the ones that doesn't believe in Jewish faith, so they go to sort of idolatry, and after that we have the world have Christianity. So who doesn't believe in Jewish, so they go to Christianity, and after to the Islam. But there was not a common thing that the person would not believe in any kind of God. It is relatively new thing today. So Spinoza was the first that was disappointed, we could say, in Jewish belief and also in Christian belief. So he was alone by himself, and he thought that the world works by himself, and there are nature, and the nature have its laws. So it's like the system that works. So he believed in nature, if we can say that. So I don't know if it's okay to believe in nature, or we need to believe precisely in God to be Jewish. So he was not accepted in the Jewish community back days, unfortunately. So this is the first thing, to believe that we as Jews, our identity is connecting us to God, and we all believe that the God exists. So if someone doesn't believe that God exists, so he lacks this important part of Jewish identity. So it's a very important thing today, because today we have also Israel, the state of Israel, and the state is not that religious, at least as we Orthodox Jews demand or see it as necessary. And it is also a very interesting point of identity, because if someone have today the passport of Israel, so he's identifying himself as an Israel person. So it's something, some new identity, not a Jewish identity, but Israel identity. So I don't really know how we should see it, because it's really something new. And interesting part, how the state of Israel was created. It was very interesting story and a lot of details. So the main thing is it was after the Holocaust. So the UN was felt bad for the Jewish nation. So they want to give them something good, and they were discussing that they don't want that Holocaust would repeat. So how can we achieve that? So when Jewish nation lives in someone else's land, so every time there is this risk that someone would hate Jews because they are not from around here, they came from the other land. So how we can solve this Jewish question? We need to create one land where all the Jewish nation would live, and then no one could say them, you don't belong here, because they belong here, right? So it was the concept of the land of Israel. So not exactly the land of Israel, the land for the Jews. So the second question was which land to give them. So there was discussions, there was several options, and they decided to give the land of Israel. And why precisely Israel? Because if we read the written Torah, so this land was promised by God to the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. And so we see that the fact that the Jewish nation can live in this precise land, Israel, is based on the Torah. It is very important fact in terms of history, even that today a lot of people that live in Israel are not considering themselves as religious, and they may be even against the religion in some way. It's very interesting social phenomenon, I would say. And very interesting about how the state of Israel was created and on which law. It's not based on the Torah law, but it was Ben Gurion, right? The one that was creating it, and he implemented and added two main things to the law that are from the Torah. It is Shabbat, that public places are not working on Shabbat, like the bus or the train are not working on Shabbat, and the stores and things like this. So Shabbat is the first thing, and the second is kashrut. It means that if you want to sell food in Israel, it have to be kosher. Or if you want to make a restaurant in Israel, it's also have to be kosher. And if you want to make it not kosher, so it's technically very hard to do it, and hard to do it legally. So it is possible, but you need to make it in some special and not easy way, as far as I know. So in terms of history speaking, even the existence of State of Israel is based on the Torah, and the people that are living in Israel, even if they think that they are not religious, maybe they are not understanding it, but the State of Israel is based on religion in some way. So it's important thing to consider about the identity. But in terms of how the social works today, there are a lot of people that are considering themselves as Israel, but not as Jews. So it's a very interesting thing to study and to understand how it works exactly. And also about the religion and the Jews, because today we have a lot of Jews that are not religious. So it's also a question of identity. Why, if a person are not connected to Jewish religion, so why the person needs to see himself as a Jewish? And also we can say that we learn now about the faith of Jews and the identity, but technically speaking, everyone that was born by the Jewish mother, he is considered Jewish. So Jews are not only the belief that I believe in something like the religion, but it's also the Jewish nation. So we see that Judaism is combining these things, the Jewish nation, which is everyone that was born by Jewish mother is considered Jewish, and also the Jewish religion that we are learning today. So it's very interesting, like dualism and dual thing that we have today. Okay, so this is what we learned today. What do you think about it? I am talking a lot today. So you both have German citizenship, right? And you don't have Israel?
No, but Estonian.
Huh?
Estonian.
Estonia. It's also interesting that the citizenship in Israel, since the law of Israel are not based on the Torah. So, for example, in terms of halacha, if someone is Jewish, he needs to be born by Jewish mother. But in terms of if someone wants to get an Israel passport, he doesn't have to be born by Jewish mother exactly. So this is the simplest way. But also, for example, I don't know exactly the laws, only what I heard. For example, if someone is not Jewish, but he is married on the Jewish, he also can become the citizen of Israel, as far as I know. Things like this. Or, for example, I'm not sure about it, but the second thing is, I'm pretty sure about it. If someone have the Jewish father, but not Jewish mother, so in terms of halacha, he's not considered Jewish, but he can become the citizen of Israel, as far as I know, because the father is Jewish, and the things like this. And the law is also changing. We will see later about the halacha, Jewish law, that we cannot change it, we cannot add things to halacha, and we cannot throw away some things. But the law of Israel works like democracy law, so we can add something and change something. So the law of who could become the citizen of Israel is changing from time to time. So it's interesting, the identity of Israel, citizenship is also changing. Usually in the Jewish communities, there are some organizations that helps people to go to Israel, maybe on some trips, or even to live, to move to live to Israel. You don't have it here, right? So one of the works in the Jewish community is this line of work, and usually if we're talking about the learning of Hebrew language, it's also connected to this part of work. So for example, if someone thinking maybe they want to go to Israel, so they are considering that they need to learn the language. So for example, if in some communities people are learning language, Hebrew language, like a preparation to go to Israel or to move to Israel. It was like in the previous place that we work in Russia. The usual organization for these things is Sachnut, and this is their work. They try to convince people to visit Israel. They very Zionist spirit. Mm-hmm. So this is very interesting, and we missing it here now. And I've seen some booklets about this thing. So I understand that this work was done several years ago, but now the situation has changed, and I don't know what's the dynamic today, if people really want to go to Israel or maybe they're afraid. I don't know exactly. Have you been to Israel? No. Oh. It's very interesting. And also I was discussing with one person about anti-Semitism, how to fight anti-Semitism, and she said very simple idea that you just need to go to Israel and see how the people live there, and then you will understand what the Jewish people are, and feel how they live, and just treat them like a regular person. It was a very interesting idea.
I think so too, yeah.
So we need to think about it to organize.
I don't think so.
No.
Huh? You don't think?
I don't think you can solve all the problems just by a visit.
Yeah, it's just like an educational project.
Yeah,
you need to learn what it is and who they are. So you just go where they live and learn in practice, not only in theory. And then you have better understanding what it is and less reasons for anti-Semitism, I guess. So we need to work in this direction also, to organize a trip from the community. I don't know how it works in terms of documents. As a German citizen, you need a visa to go to Israel? I don't know.
Not yet, but I've heard that Israel wants to put Germany on the list that Germans have to get a visa.
So for now you can visit as a tourist without a visa. Okay. And for how many days? 3 months?
Usually it is like about 3 months, but like with Asian countries and all.
Mm-hmm.
If Israel has the same ones.
It's Middle East, in the middle. Okay, so we learned first of the 13 that God exists. Okay, thank God. And we can continue it next week. Okay. So So we announcing this film for Mittwoch evening. So it's about Giyur, and it's also connected to the topic that we discussed today about the identity. So it's also interesting that Giyur is possible. So it means that the Judaism is not only a nation, because it's impossible to join the nation if you are not born, but you can join the religion, right? And how to join, or if it's worth it to join, it's a very big topic of Giyur. So this film is very good to understand this story, because as far as I remember, this person is Jewish, but he's not religious, and his like girlfriend, she's very interested in Judaism, and she wanted to convert, something like this. This the story, and you can read in Korean here the plot. Yes. And we're beginning to sell the gefilte fish also for €6. So you can buy.
Not yet, but I'm afraid of.